Hi, I'm Becky. If you're a primary teacher and you've just found out that you're teaching in a new year group that you've never taught before, or perhaps a year group you've not taught for a long time, then stick around. I've got 5 great tips to help make the transition easier. So tip number 1 is checking out the national curriculum objectives for your new year group. It sounds like a really obvious place to start, but actually having a really close look at the objectives can give you a really solid understanding of what the children should be learning, particularly for maths and English. It's also a really good idea to check out the years before and after your year group to help put their learning into context. Tip number 2 is book scrutiny. See if you can ask a teacher in the year group that you're going to be teaching before the end of term to have a look at some of their books or to leave a few of their books behind for you to look at. Going through these books will help give you a really clear overview of what's achievable, what's feasible for your new year group, and give you an idea of where to pitch the learning. If a book scrutiny within school isn't possible, then have a look online. Google, for example, Year 2 writing examples, and you'll see an absolute wealth of examples show up, which will all help you to understand what is achievable for your new class, where you should be pitching your teaching, and what children can be expected to achieve. Tip number 3 is observations. Ask the teacher of the year group that you're going to be moving into if you can sit in on a couple of lessons before the end of term. It's a really useful way to see the tone and the tactics that the teacher uses that's appropriate to the cohort, and it will then give you your own ideas on how to manage your own class. Tip number 4 is to download some prepared lesson planning. So the internet is absolutely full of examples of planning that you can use already, that's already been created, that you can use with your new class. Even if you don't want to use it in the format that it's provided, it will give you a really good idea of the kind of lessons that you can deliver to your new year group. You do have to be a little bit discerning with this. There are some websites where anybody can upload lesson planning, and it might not be the quality or the pitch or the content that is appropriate for your new year group. Websites like PlanBee, for example, all the lesson packs are written by experienced teachers. You know that you're delivering what you need to deliver for the national curriculum for whichever year group you're choosing. They're a great way to download some planning, to see where you should be pitching your lessons, use the lessons if they're helpful to you. If not, adapt the content for what you need, or just use them as an example for where you should be pitching your teaching and learning. Tip number 5, our final tip, is to understand the marking expectations for your new year group. So again, the difference between marking in year 1 and year 6 is vast. Children in year 6 might be much more able to self-mark, to peer assess, all those sorts of things, whereas in year 1, you need to understand what your school's expectations for marking are. Have a chat with SRT, with your head teacher, with the year group teachers, and see what the expectations around marking are before you start the school year. So those are our top 5 tips for moving year group. If you want to get into the nitty gritty and find some tips for the actual year group you're moving into, whether it's year 1, year 2, year 3, all the way up to year 6, we've got some more information that will really help you out. Click the link or get in touch, ask us any questions. We want to help you make this transition as easy as possible.